Well, I first met Chiedozie Chukwu in my office when he came to me probably about a little over a year ago, and his story was really compelling. Here's a young 36-year-old man living in Metroplex in the Dallas area, traveling on his work, and really his story was quite interesting to me. A lot of my patients are older, and here he is noting that he's here for leg pain, and he's very frustrated, and really I was struck with how hopeless he seemed. And as he opened up with his story and his journey, it was even more interesting.
I started noticing symptoms about 8 or 9 years ago. At that time, I was very active. I was doing all the things that someone my age would do in my 20s. I was going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I was eating a fairly good diet for most people in my age group. I was active. I just felt like I was living a normal life for someone in their mid-20s. But there came a time where I would run and then I would feel some tightness in my calves. And I thought, well, that's probably a cramp or there's some sort of injury and I'll just walk it off. But I think what started to happen is after a period of time, it started to bug me a lot more. And so that's at the point where I went to go see my PCP. So after seeing those 3 professionals, at that point, I sort of gave up. So I reduced my physical activity. I sort of slowed down with the running, slowed down with the walking, slowed down with things like that gradually, because the pain wasn't that bad at that point. But as the years went by, the pain got a little bit worse to the point where walking for long distances was now a chore. It hurts. And so there was an incident where I went to a soccer game with a friend of mine, and I met him at the soccer stadium. You know, with soccer games, you've got to park way out there and then you've got to walk all the way to the stadium. So I parked way out there, hustled, made it to the stadium. He was already there, so I met him there, and we watched the game. Everything was great. Now we've got to walk back to our cars, and he's walking, I'm walking with him, and I'm like, hold on, I've got to stop. And he's like looking at me like, what's wrong? What do you mean you've got to stop? And I'm telling him my legs hurt, and he starts asking questions. He happens to be a physician, so he's asking certain types of questions to figure out what's going on with me. And I explained my situation, and he said, well, has your PCP talked about intermittent claudication?
Claudication is a tightening or a cramping or a discomfort in the calves of the leg. You can have cold feet when it gets very advanced, but really the cramping became unbearable and really limiting his life. Unfortunately, they said to him that nothing could be done. They said that when they did their testing from the CAT scan, his arteries from just above the knee down were completely blocked, and even down to the ankle. I think that led him to looking into some online reviews of if this is the correct diagnosis, and from very reputable institutions, and they confirmed there really wasn't a hope in terms of treating it with either a surgical or even an endovascular technique. So he was told that he would have to live with it and continue to walk, and what if his legs got bad, come back, and he was really facing a possibility of an amputation at some point in his life.
I said, I need to give it one last go. I looked up the providers that specialize with this technology, reached out to a company called Avinger, and I asked them, could you give me your list of providers in the DFW area? And they sent me a list of providers.
We brought him to our outpatient lab, the Tyler Cardiac and Endovascular Center here, and we were able to do an angiogram. He had a complete blockage of his artery starting from the groin all the way down to the ankle on the right leg, and from the groin on the left leg all the way included to maybe mid-calf on the left side. And that, when it's in multiple sections, creates a very difficult challenge for operators to try to open it up from the inside out. Because of the new technologies that we have and the ability to look at the vessel from the inside out, I had a lot of confidence that it's something that we should try. And with the Lumivascular technology, we're able to see the vessel from the inside out. I was able to use this device, the Ocelot device first, to go through the right leg artery and tunnel through the blockage. It's like a mountain train tunnel. There's a tract in the tunnel and you know there's an opening, but it's all plugged up. It's basically plugged up with boulders and rocks and dirt. But the goal with our therapies is to stay on the track all the way through and get out the other side. The Lumivascular technology totally enables us to do that because it gives us vision. As I go down the artery, I'm able to see exactly where the wall is and to stay on track instead of diverting off the track, which often can terminate the procedure or make it more difficult to open up the artery.
When he finally was able to get through the main blockage for one of my legs, I felt a sensation that was like a huge, it wasn't quite a cramp, it was a mega cramp in my leg. And I kind of raised my head and I said, "What is that? You know, Dr. Carr, something's happening, what's that?" And he said, "That's blood running through your legs." So after all the procedures, all of a sudden there's a new life ahead for me, living with the reality of a potential different sort of life, restricted life, if you will. And all of a sudden, that gate being opened again, sure, you have the physical ability to now do those things again, but mentally, I felt a little beaten down and I wanted to snap out of it. And one of the things that I did was I went out and started running, doing the things that they said that I might not be able to do again. And, I don't think a lot of people wake up each morning thankful for their legs and thankful that they can walk to the grocery store around the corner. But I do now because I get it, and it was just such a breakthrough mentally for me that I had to go out there and just celebrate myself.